Good evening. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to our Rock Recharge Bible study. Super excited about this evening. We have some special things planned tonight, a special treat, and it is going to be Happy Tuesday. Good evening, brother. How are you doing, Carl? Hey, Sister Cookie. Good to see you. Happy Tuesday. Hey, Deaconess Crystal, good evening. Come on in. As you come in, like and share. Good evening, Sister Danielle. I'm excited too. Hey, Pastor Christine. As you come in, make sure that you like and share. We want as many people to be blessed and inspired by what is going to take place this evening. So come on in. Hey, Sister Michelle, good evening. I miss y'all, Rock Church. I miss y'all. Thank you, Sister Crystal, Deaconess Crystal. Thank you. And Tuesdays have been my opportunity to be able to check in, see how you all are doing. Hey, Einstein, thank you for joining us tonight. And we got 1 minute. We're going to get started tonight. Good evening. Make sure that you like and share, ladies. This is going to be special for you. And like I said, for all the men who love you, the husbands, the fathers, the uncles, the sons, we're about to have some amazing dialogue and conversation that is going to be truly inspiring and encouraging. So we want everyone to join. Tag a lady, invite a lady, text her, let her know to get in here right now on this live. So it's 7 o'clock, Rock Church. Welcome to our Say Her Name conversation. I'm so delighted about this evening because our pastor laid such a powerful framework for this. He preached such an amazing, powerful message this past Sunday that has just opened up the conversation for us to be able to move forward with some dialogue today. And I have some amazing women here that I'm going to introduce in a minute. I want to thank our pastor for this opportunity. I'm so grateful that he has provided this platform for us. Our pastor is one who deeply loves and cares for his sheep. I know this personally. He is so committed to the growth and the development of God's people. He wants them to be at their maximum potential. And what was so indicative about the message that he preached on Sunday is that he wants the women of his congregation and women within his reach to be excellent and to succeed and to know that they matter. And so we just want to honor and celebrate him this evening for all that he does for us and for who he is in our lives. You should just blow up your pastor right now in the comments. And so I want to go ahead and introduce our ladies that are here with us this evening. I got some game changers here on this live. And so our first guest is going to be Pastor Beverly Austin. She is an ordained pastor of Bethel Empowerment Church in Granville, Michigan, where she serves alongside her husband, Pastor Jathan Austin. She's also the mother of 4. And Pastor Beverly has her master's in business administration and her master's in urban leadership. She is a game changer. She is the founder of Girl Get Your Fight Back, an organization that challenges and equips women and teen girls to regain control of their lives. She's the founder and creative director of Rock the Runway, a fashion show in support of breast cancer awareness in the urban community. She's the creator and designer of the Confident Wear top quality clothing line for women, teen girls, and young girls. She's the president and founder of Confident Living, a program committed to helping men and women get unstuck. I want you to celebrate Pastor Beverly Austin. And then we also have with us our very own Minister Tasha Tolbert. She is active in ministry in her entire life, and she is currently a faithful member of the Rock Church. She serves as one of our administrative directors. Minister Tasha has her bachelor's in psychology and her master's in business administration. She has worked as a human resources professional for the past 19 years, 12 years at Target, and she's currently been with TRCBA for 7 years. She served as the VP of Communications and Community Impact. She was the head of HR for the Innovations Lab there, and she currently is the VP of Human Resources there. She sits on the Diversity and Inclusion Council at TRCBA and is responsible for creating content and training leadership in diversity and inclusion. She's a certified trainer for development Dimensions International, and she's also a Harvard Business School leadership communications trainer. Let's celebrate our very own Minister Tasha Tolbert. And then last but certainly not least, we have Dr. Mateesah Wilbon. She is a servant of God who has dedicated her life to honoring Christ in everything she does. She's an educator, a speaker, and an author. She serves in her local church faith covenant as an elder and director of ministries. She has an earned master's degree and PhD in sociology from the Ohio State University. She recently published her most recent book entitled Undefeated. You have to get this book. It is life-changing. It talks about how prayer never loses. This book is crafted to give readers an inside look into the power of prayer, its relevance to society, and its undefeated status. She's the wife to Mr. Lawrence Wilbon and mother to 2 children, Deshaun and Taya. Can we welcome Dr. Mateesah Wilbon? I'm so excited to have Pastor Beverly Austin, Minister Tasha Tolbert, and Dr. Mateesah Wilbon. Welcome, ladies. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hello.
Hello, hello, hello. I'm super excited that you all decided to be here with me this evening. And thank y'all so much for accepting the invitation. I believe that this is a very necessary and timely conversation. And I'm super grateful that you all are here with me to experience it. I believe that we're in a very pivotal moment in our country. It's undeniable that the covers have been pulled back. Many try to say that they're astonished or they're shocked about the things that are happening. But us as Blacks, as African Americans, we know that this has been the plight. We are not surprised at all. But what has happened is that God is shining the light in some very dark places, and things that were covered are now being exposed. And it's so timely because God is uncovering actions, he's uncovering motives, and he's uncovering hearts, right? So things that people may have tried to hide in the past, God is bringing it to light. And everyone in this country, nobody is exempt. Everyone in this country right now is forced to make a choice.
That's right.
And I love it. I love it because our God is not the author of confusion. He's a very intentional, deliberate, distinct God who forces us to make decisions as Christians. And what I love about this time is that it reminds me of the times in the Bible where Joshua talked about the fact that he told the Israelites, choose ye this day whom you will serve. And then we go down the line when Elijah gets on Mount Carmel and he tells the Israelites, he says, listen, if you gonna serve Baal, let him be your God. But if God is God, let him be your God. Like, choose who it is. How long are you going to stay stuck between two opinions? And I love it because even Jesus said, I can't stand lukewarm Christians.
Come on.
I gotta spit you out my mouth. Either you're gonna be hot or you're gonna be cold. You're gonna pick one, but it's no more being in the middle, right? And so I believe that it's no longer time for us to say that it's okay for people to be racist and then call themselves righteous, or for you to be silent and then you're a saint. Now you're gonna have to open up your mouth and speak up. You don't have to choose a side. And it's either you're for us or against us. And so what this moment has shown us is that it's an opportunity for you to make a choice and a decision. And I believe that the murder of George Floyd has opened up this Pandora's box as it is related to race, right? And I also believe that the murder of Breonna Taylor has also opened up a conversation and brought to the forefront the fact that women have been omitted and oppressed for a very long time. And we can just pause right here and say that it's about day 109 and we still need for somebody to get arrested, right? I mean, do y'all agree, ladies? We want somebody to get arrested. We praying and we protesting, and we're still waiting for somebody to be arrested for her murder. So as we talk about this conversation and we just begin to open up this discussion, I first want to let everybody know that all the ladies on here, we love Black men. So this is not a bashing. Come on, this is not a bashing session. We can just let you know right now. Pastor Beverly loves her husband. I love the fact that she talks about how she doesn't pump gas. She pulls up to the pump, and if her husband's not there, she waits for him to pull up and pump her gas. So she loves her Black man. Dr. Mateesah loves her husband, serves him, is submitted to him. They serve together. They work together. Minister Tasha is a Christian single who walks in integrity. She is submitted to God. She is submitted to her pastor and her church. And so I'm excited to say that all the women on here, we don't have to bash anybody to empower women. We don't have to do that. So we're excited about this conversation, and I want to get right into it. So I talked about how on Sunday, Pastor Chris preached a powerful message, Say Her Name. And he used the relationship between David and Bathsheba to talk about how women are many times oppressed by men. And I'm going to use his sermon as the framework and the groundwork for our conversation and our discussion. And the first thing he talked about was that David was absent. So if you go to 2 Samuel chapter number 11, you can read this. It actually says it's the time of year when kings go to war. Yes. But David decided to stay home. He decided that he wasn't going to be there. He was missing from his post. He was absent from his assignment. And so what we find out many times is that when Black men in particular, our Black men, aren't where they are supposed to be, there's an impact that it has on us as Black women. I really want to speak to our sisters tonight. That's really the focus and our target audience. And so when he's not where he's supposed to be, speaking from someone who grew up in a single family home where my father was not there, he did not raise me, he had no hand in my rearing. My mother did the best, absolute best. She sacrificed so much, but there's always something missing. Your mother can be amazing, but a woman still needs her father, right? So there was this root of insecurity, this root of rejection, this root of bitterness in me because of my father being absent. And I even have to fight today. Can I just say and be honest and transparent? Even today, I have to make sure I'm not approaching different areas of my life from that space of rejection and feeling like I was not accepted or not wanted. Like, why wasn't he there? Why didn't he want to take care of me? But I really also want to flip the script, and I want to talk about the power that comes when the Black man is in place and is where he is supposed to be. And so, Pastor Beverly, if you could just talk to us. You have beautiful Lexi, and she's such a confident girl already. What does that look like for her to have Pastor Jathan there as your husband and her father?
Well, having him there, I think probably my first thing with my daughter is to first make sure she knows who she is.
Yes.
and to know who she is as a young woman.
Mm-hmm.
And so with her knowing who she is as a young woman, so that way, God forbid, if something happened to my husband or anything else, that her self-worth and esteem isn't shattered from that.
Yes.
And so I start the foundation there with establishing in her who she is as a woman, who she is as a young woman in God, who she is as a Black woman, and establishing this authentic, this uniqueness in her young. And so a lot of conversation with her. And my biggest thing with her is making sure that she embraces her unique self, embracing her hair, embracing her skin, and all of those different things. And so establishing that in her first, then now we interject her relationship with her dad. And so he then now strengthens the foundation that me as a woman, that I'm already laying with her. And so then that way now, when a guy is coming to her, she's spoiled rotten. Lord have mercy.
Of course.
And so whoever does get her is going to have their hands full. But then her dad, he really comes in, and now he's reinforcing what the foundation that's already been being instilled in her. And so he's kind of tying the knots of the framework that me as her mother is already laying for her. And so you just talked about this, the relationship with the father and the daughter. And I was born, my mother had me, I was a product of a teen pregnancy. My mother had me at 18. And so the absence of the father, people really don't realize the relationship between a father and a daughter is really undervalued. And there really is a void missing when that isn't there. And so, but I really try to help even single moms with that. And me having my daughter is that, yes, her relationship with her dad is so necessary, it's important, and it's vital. But I don't want her leaning on anything else stronger than what she can pull out from herself.
That's good.
And so what I'm trying to make sure is that she has a strong foundation within, because disappointments are going to come, heartache is going to come, heartbreak is going to come. She's going to be getting mad at her daddy. She about to be 12. But I don't ever want her to be shattered or ever question or have any doubt of who she is alone, standing alone, but because of the blood of her father running through her veins, because of the blood of her mother running through her veins. But even at 11 years old, I want her to know, even because of the blood of Jesus Christ that runs through her spiritual veins. And so just trying to teach her that through every situation, more than anything, establishing that inner self-worth is probably my first thing.
I think that's really powerful. And I love how you're doing that, teaching her entrepreneurial things by giving her her own t-shirt line. She has a Confident Girl t-shirt line. I just think that's super powerful and something to really lay a powerful groundwork in her life. And I salute you for that, sister. Dr. Mateesah, talk about that, the powerful presence of your husband, Lawrence, and then for Taya, a dad being there.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, let me just say thank you for having me. I'm so glad that my voice is part of this conversation. And I'm glad we're starting with the conversation about the importance of men being there. Sometimes, as you mentioned in the outset, when we talk about female empowerment, people make that seem like the narrative is we're saying we want to do this without men. We don't want to do this without men. We need them. Even research, and I just really quickly, research tells us that fathers are important. They're important for self-esteem. They're important for behavior. They're important for academic achievement. So science bears out what we already know. We need the men. We need the men of God. Like you, Lady Nakia, I was raised without a father, but I was the product of divorce, right? My relationship with my father came from the fact that my mom and dad divorced when I was young. So my father was financially there. Anything I needed, whether it was school or travel or whatever, he was there, but he was not able to be emotionally there. So my sense of rejection didn't come from a father not physically being there, because I visited him all the time, still have a great relationship with him to this day. But emotionally, I didn't have the dad that was going to tell me how beautiful I was, or I found myself in my achievements, those became the badge or the thing that I would wave to get his attention. Right. So the more I achieved, I wasn't the one who went the opposite way. I wanted to accomplish everything that I could so that I could just get his attention. So in answer to your question, I love what Pastor Austin was saying. In addition to just the confidence and all of that, Lawrence really is trying to help her see that he is going to be there for her, right? That's the thing that he makes sure that she knows, that when she comes downstairs with her outfit on, he's telling her how beautiful that she is. And there's an emotional attachment that he's showing her that Daddy's going to be here. Daddy's going to be my protector. One of the things that my pastor, Bishop Moore, teaches us is that fathers do three things. They give identity, they instruct, and they give an inheritance. They give identity, they instruct, and they give an inheritance. And if fathers can do that for their daughters and their sons, then they do grow up to be confident women. So those are the things that Lawrence is trying to teach Taya, and she's learning them, believe me.
No, I love what you talked about, that affirmation. You look beautiful. I like how many times my husband, he makes sure that he affirms internal characteristics and then external characteristics. You're beautiful inside out. You're brilliant. You're smart. I'll find many times that when I'm done doing Brooklyn's hair, she'll run, Daddy, how does it look? And so that just does my heart so much joy to see her be able to experience that with her dad. So I love that, just that affirmation coming from dad at a young age. So we know that we need our men to be in place. We need our Black men to be in position and be where they're supposed to be, because David, he was absent. So he's absent from his post, and now he has some time on his hands. So the Bible talks about how he just got done taking his rest, and now David is strolling on the roof.
Come on.
Strolling on the roof, and he spots Bathsheba taking a bath. He spots her from the roof, and Pastor Chris did such an amazing job of just breaking down the fact that his position had him at an advantage over Bathsheba. He's on the roof. She's in the bathtub, oblivious to what is happening around her, right? And so I want to talk about how we as Black women, we're at a disadvantage. We can spiritualize it. Yes. Right. Eyes have not seen, ears have not heard. God will do exceeding abundantly above what you can ask or think. I'm talking practically. Right. We as Black women are at a disadvantage. And activist and journalist Claudia Jones coins the term triple oppression. It's classism, it's racism, and it's sexism. We got a triple threat against us when we wake up out the bed and put our feet on the floor. So we got to work triple hard, right? And so I really want to talk about how this triple oppression has impacted you personally. How has this triple oppression impacted you personally? Minister Tasha, can you talk about that?
Absolutely. And again, thank you for inviting me to be a part of this conversation with these awesome women. I was thinking about this question and realized a very early experience I had in my career when I was working at Target, and I was a recruiter. And I was asked to speak for something to do with recruiting. After I gave my presentation, my boss came to me and she gave me feedback that I did my presentation too well, and that I needed to be aware, because I was going to make other people feel uncomfortable because how clear and well the presentation went. Wow. And I was young in my career, and I remember thinking, wait a minute, like, you're telling me I was wrong for doing it well. I need to adjust so other people don't feel comfortable. And at that point, I wasn't as confident in my career. I was still a fairly new leader, but I remember that stuck with me in terms of this person was trying to dim my light because of her own insecurities. So needless to say, probably about 4 months later, she's not with the company anymore, and I become the spokesperson for recruiting. And I end up traveling all around with my company for recruiting. And it was powerful in the end, because it was like the Lord used that. And I never changed the way that I presented. I was able to continue to excel in that role.
That's awesome. That is really good. How something negative you were able to flip that thing and make sure that it empowered you instead. This triple oppression, Dr. Mateesah, can you speak to that? What does that look like for us?
Absolutely. So in sociology, we call that intersectionality. Same idea. This idea that none of our identities are sort of in vacuums by themselves. They all interact together.
Yes.
And so to your point, for me as an educator on a college campus, as a woman, as a Black woman, and then I'm from Appalachia. So I grew up poor, and there are already these ideas about Kentucky barefoot with overalls and, you know, how you speak. And so when I was going through school, the way it worked for me is no matter where I was, some part of me had a marginal existence. Right? That's true in the marketplace. I teach primarily at predominantly white institutions. So my status as being a person of color was always on display. So people making me feel like, oh, you're just here because you're a token. I've had students who basically have said that in the classroom, and I had to tell them real quick in my best Claire Huxtable, not my class.
Come
on.
I
can go there very quickly in a really, you know, articulate way, Minister Tolbert.
You're cut you, and you don't even been cut. You're bleeding, and you don't even know it.
Leave the class like, did you just? And white men in particular were very good at that. I'm talking about white male students. I am the professor in the room, and they will sit on the front row trying to, you know, denigrate what I've said or call me on something. And so I had to learn very quickly how to respond. I had to learn very quickly. I was going to be prepared anyway, but I would always think about questions that could be asked. So it makes you work harder, to Minister Tolbert's point. It makes you make sure that when you show it up in the room, you are showing up in full force. I will tell you though, my woman status really in the church has been where that's more acutely, you know, I'm more acutely aware of that because it's still very much a male-dominated institution. Yes. And it's interesting because even though we're led by the Spirit, and the Spirit's going to be poured out on all flesh, and there's no, you know, Jew or Greek, no male or female. We're very aware of your being female. I find in the church. So the short answer to your question is that triple oppression is always at work, and you're always having to overcome either all of it at once or some of it, no matter what institution you're a part of.
And I love that you brought up not just the workplace or your space in education, but also church, because you're right. It's multiple areas where it shows up. You can be in the grocery store.
Sure.
And a checker can trigger your triple oppression. I'm telling you, like, it can happen absolutely anywhere. And I love that story about the white male just trying to dismantle or tear apart things that you talk about. I've had that experience, and God really had to help me because I would get like angry. Like it would be like, oh no, I'm going in here with Jerry, so let me make sure that I read me an extra book today so I can say something extra smart. Let me wear an extra smart suit. Let me get here early so I can make sure that I have my seat and I'm ready. And you know, like I had to get on the offense instead of the defense. And then I was even talking to Minister Tasha about this, about how we would be in strategy meetings and somehow I'm the one that's got to take, Nakia, can you take the notes? No, I'm strategizing too.
You know what I call that? Lady Nakia, you know what I call that? Being secretaried.
Yes.
It doesn't matter your position, your experience, your title. You are going to become the secretary unless you stand up and say, not today.
That's so exactly. Exactly. And that's so I had to be ready for that because it happened a few times. So then the next time I was like, actually, I won't be able to take the notes today because I need to be focused on what we're talking about.
I love it.
Yeah, no, I'm not taking the notes. Pastor Beverly, what does that look like?
No, I love this conversation because I'm talking to ladies, and what you're saying is they're struggling with this ability to be able to stand up for themselves in the corporate workspace.
Yes.
And they're asking questions at how do I do this and not risk the promotion, or how do I do this and not risk retaliation?
Yep.
And so this is such an outstanding conversation, because if we do not stand up for ourselves, we'll keep being looked over, or we'll keep being the secretary.
Absolutely.
And so I think what you're doing is having the courage to just know I'm standing up because this is who I am, and this is what it is. And if we don't do that, we'll be looked over anyway, because we'll be looked at as the secretary.
Right.
And so this is a powerful conversation, especially for corporate America.
Yes.
But even you said it about the church too, though. You said it about the church too.
Right.
And here's the bigger thing, though, with us as Black women. It's frustrating that if we get emotional, that our emotions and our response are interpreted as anger or disrespect.
Come on.
And so this is where emotional intelligence, and I try to talk to people, even when I'm working with companies, and I'm saying, no, just because she crying, I want to say because she cried because she don't want to cuss you out. But her tears are just an emotion. And I tell her, if you got to let the tear flow, go excuse yourself, but come back in and still communicate what it is you need to communicate. And if you have to do that through a tear or two, do not leave that space without communicating what it is you need to get across. And so this is really, really good.
But you know what, Pastor? I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I know. I already see your light bulb.
Listen, but this is the thing about it that interests me so much about this conversation. Anger is also an emotion.
It is.
Come on. It's a real one.
So you know what I'm saying? So we look at
ours
women.
Is always misinterpreted.
Yeah,
is misinterpreted. But when men are angry, they're just passionate, or they just really. So I think you're exactly right. I love the fact that you're teaching women. The reality is we have to be wise and we have to be thoughtful in terms of our response. But at the same time, I make no apologies for being a woman. Not anymore. No. I used to. Yeah. I am who I am, and you're going to take all of me. Now, again, when promotions are on the table and all of that, you do have to be thoughtful, as we all do. Mm-hmm. But I think we need to reteach, and that's why my focus is not on men per se. It's not on these people per se. It's on systems. Yeah. We have to dismantle systems that create the narrative. We have to start here, though. Yes, it does.
Yes.
No, yeah, that's really good. And the one thing that I heard this quote, they were showing, I was on a diversity call for work. And so they were showing these quotes of what it's like to be Black in corporate America, not just in America, but in corporate America. And a woman said that her manager called her, she said, "You are aggressive and sometimes just downright scary." And I said, wow, isn't that interesting? She probably is confident, and she probably makes sure that she stands up for herself, Pastor Beverly, like you were talking about. She's courageous and she's bold, and she's not about to sit down and be docile and quiet like you want her to be, but she's considered aggressive and scary. Can you imagine that? So now I need to turn myself all the way down. And then I don't even want to get ahead of myself and talk about what that looks like for us mentally and emotionally as Black women, as we continue to stuff our emotions further and further down in order to make our oppressor feel comfortable, right? Yeah, it's just so frustrating. So you really bring me to a good place in our conversation as we talk about this, because there's this double standard that I want to talk about, right? So the way that Pastor Chris introduced the message was reading the genealogy of Jesus, where David and Bathsheba are concerned. Mm-hmm. So we know that David goes down in history as a man after God's own heart. And I'm not trying to take away from that.
Oh,
he's a worshiper. He is a powerful man, so I'm not taking away from that. But in the genealogy, Pastor Beverly, it says that he had a baby with her.
No name.
Her, not her name. Right? So somehow her name gets omitted from the genealogy. And so there's this double standard that exists that I really want us to unpack and talk about, because men are celebrated for their ability to date multiple women, while the same women they date are called whores and promiscuous. I'm just going to say it. We're corrected for exposing too much, but men aren't taught to stop looking and control yourself. Women are expected, we just talked about it, to tone it down and be nice in the boardrooms, in the courtrooms, on platforms. Listen, this is a platform that we have right here, and we just need to be able to expose it and be honest about what it is. I love this quote by Susan de Beauvoir. She said, when women act like women, they're accused of being inferior. When women act like human beings, they're accused of behaving like men.
Wow.
Can we talk about this double standard, Pastor Beverly, that exists? How do we navigate this successfully in life? Help us.
Oh man, I don't even know if there's any answers to, like, I think it goes back to, and I can't wait for you all to really shed some even more on this, especially in the university world, because I'm talking to people, and the double standard is astronomically crazy. In the university world. But one of the things, and you already brought up the church world, and it's amazing, because I just had someone who had a comment about women in stilettos, but this person that had a comment about women in stilettos in a pulpit, they wear the tightest shirts, and I can see the bulge in their jeans. And I'm just like, but I see the bulge in your jeans, simply being real. But
that's real.
I mean, this double standard, I think that's just what it is. And it goes back into, you said about reteaching. I think it goes back into, number one, having mentors who can help us navigate through these, because you don't want it to risk your promotion, but you also don't want it to take away who you are.
Yeah.
And so I think great mentorship is a great place to start, to be able to help you navigate through there, so you're just not in there completely renegade, but that you don't lose your authentic self either while you're being who you are. But as far as it was so funny, I was watching I was watching Love and Hip Hop. Oh no, Hip Hop Atlanta, whatever the name of the show is. And I was blown away. We're talking about this idea of women being able to date, and and so this idea of, I don't know, I think it's almost changed, because the woman was being heralded for having, multiple guys. Because the whole saying, to get over a guy, you get under one. I think that's how it goes.
Oh,
and so, but I think our mentorship, our teaching, and who we're listening to, who we model ourselves after, I think that's those are critical things to help us navigate through this double standard, because it's going to be there. We go back to the Bible. I think half of the omission of her name was due to the time that the Bible was actually written.
That's right.
And, so we know all of that. And so, but I think now, because we know who we are, but we also have to be careful, because Women's Lib, I think, has taken us way far. But we have to know who we are, but being able to really just love who we are as women, and rock that.
Yeah.
And I think rocking who I am as a woman, and what I bring to the table as a woman, and what I bring to the table even as a Black woman, owning that and rocking it with so much confidence, that what you do, as long as when it starts to affect me, then that's why I got my mentor to help me rock through this. But I don't think it's really going to change. But I have to be confident, and I have to determine that I'm not going to let it stop the avenues and the pathways that I am trying to get myself to.
That's good. And it's clear that it has not done that, because you are successful in so many arenas. Minister Tasha, talk to that. This double standard, corporate America, what does it look like?
It is so real. And when I think about it, the first thing I always say is it's awareness. First, you have to be aware and know. Don't be silly that it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But I really like to think about Esther. I think about the story of Esther and timing, because sometimes it's not the right time to say something, and sometimes it is. In the corporate environment, when you know that exists with this double standard, it's okay for this person, but it's not okay. It's okay for a man to do this, but if I show up this way, someone's going to have something to say. So like, when I'm aware of that, I study my audience. I understand I don't choose who I am, and I never dim down. Like, one of the things I've learned now being in this corporate environment for so long is I don't apologize for who I am and for what I do. Now, the way that I say things and the way that I come across, I pay attention to, because I know the nonverbal cues and all of those things are also important, because people are creating whatever their perceptions are.
Yes.
But when you stand in knowing who you are and you choose the right timing to do things, even if it's not popular, when you choose the right time, I just feel like the Lord leads you to that. You'll say what you need to say and you won't feel bad about it. And nothing's going to come towards you, because you are standing in the authority that you have being a daughter of God. And so that's how I look at it when I'm in my space, because I'm not going to lose my power. I'm not going to dummy down. I've been in meetings where the people come in and they don't recognize that I'm the leader. And so they're coming at me kind of crazy, and they're talking to the men a certain kind of way, and they look at me. But then when my team is like, oh, we have to ask her, it's a whole another story. And so it's not even, it's just standing in your authority. I know who I am, so I don't have to prove to anyone or explain to anyone what my role is or what my title is, because there's an authority that comes with the position that I hold.
That's so good. I love that fact of knowing when to say something and when to be silent, right? And also knowing the authority that you hold. I remember a time when I was young in my career, and we would be in these big boardroom meetings, and there's chairs along the side, and then there's chairs at the table. And I'm not gonna lie, I would walk in and sit at the chairs along the side. And God sent a Black woman by the name of Augustine Smith. I love this woman to this day. She said, don't you ever walk in this room and sit at a chair along the side. I want you to pull up to the table, and I want you to sit there with the boldness and the courage and the confidence that you are supposed to be in the room. And so that really, really helped me. And it also helped me because I didn't always feel need to say something smart, right? She helped me with that. I always felt like I need to say something that's going. I'm using Jerry, but Jerry is a code name for a real. So, I don't know if people watching and sharing. I don't know if right through here. So I used to be like, listen, I got it today. I'm ready for you, Jerry. When you come, I got something to say. But when she just told me, no, you just go sit at the table, and your demeanor, the way you carry yourself, brings you and garners the respect and the admiration of your peers. And don't you worry about, the other people that fall along the wayside. Dr. Mateesah, what does that look like? Double standard now.
I would just add to what all of you all are saying. And I've changed my mantra. I don't want a seat at the table. I want the gavel.
Come on.
Put me at the head of the table.
Yes.
I'm no longer trying to just get a seat at the table, because guess what? Then you still have to be asked. You still have to be asked to speak. So I want to be in a position that I'm bringing young women into places of power and authority, so that they're making decisions that will directly and positively impact the others coming up behind them. Yeah. What I teach my students, and this is directly related to what Minister Tasha said, I teach them to have a voice and to know when to speak and how to speak.
Yeah.
And I feel like once you learn that, the double standard is going to be there until there's a critical mass. And when there's a critical mass of us, the standard has to shift.
Yes.
So that's why, again, I'm interested in dismantling the systems. Okay, who's in charge and how can I get your job?
Yes.
I walked into the university, and when I was hired, they said, where do you see yourself? In 10 years, I'm going to be the dean. What do you mean?
Come on.
And then after that, and I said that in my interview, and that's why they hired me. And so when I went to my last institution, I hit the ground running. When there were leadership positions, they didn't have to even pay me. I will serve because I need you to see my face. I need you to hear my voice. And I became known as the disruptor. That's why this is on my wall right now.
Come on.
Because when I sat down, they would look to me. Okay, what's Mateesah going to say?
That's
you're right. Yes. I'm going to ruffle some feathers. I'm not here. When I think about this, what I do is a ministry. I'm not here just to teach. I could teach sociology anywhere. I am here to change some stuff.
Yes.
And so any room that I walk into, that's the attitude that I take with it. Now, Am I met with opposition? Yes. Is it exhausting? Yes. Do I meet men who want to minimize me so they can control me? Yes.
Absolutely, yeah.
But then, like Esther, Minister Tasha, God gives me a strategy in prayer, and I say, let me go see the king.
Right.
And I feel like if we can have that sort of, attitude to challenge, not in disrespect, not in doing anything unseemly, but to do it with wisdom, I found that God has been with me and he's shaking some stuff up.
That's so good. That's why we need women of God in courtrooms. We need women of God in boardrooms, heading up companies, Pastor Beverly, being VPs, Minister Tasha, doctorates, teaching people. That's what we need. We need the women of God to represent in every arena and space that opens up. And I love that. And what I love is that we bring other women up with us.
Yes.
When I come up, you come up. And that's the way that it should be, because you better believe that the good old boys club is still alive and kicking.
Come on.
And somewhere we are going to have a good old girls club. That's us Black women saying, I got a space for you and I want to mentor you. I want to teach you, develop you, grow you into being your best self. I want to talk about these names. So we're in this space of saying the names. And at one point there was a big push, say his name. And it was the many names, which it should have been, of all the men who have lost their lives to police brutality, to police violence. Just you could just run a roll and they would just keep going. Yeah. I love the time in the message this past Sunday where Pastor Chris took the opportunity to say her name. The names of the many women who have lost their lives that we aren't even aware of to police brutality. Michelle Cusseau, Tanisha Anderson, Natasha McKenna, India Kager, Deborah Danner, Michelle Shirley, Charlene Lyles, Tatiana Jefferson, Sandra Bland, Breonna Taylor, and I'm going to say it again, where we're at day number 109 and the murderers have still not been arrested. Wow. As we say their names, I think that it is something powerful about speaking the names and saying that they're murders, right? And making sure that we convey that message. One of the things that was interesting to me, that many of these women who I just named, and that's not even all of them, they suffered from mental illness. If you go and read their stories, they suffered from mental illness. And I'm also reminded of the story of Jazz Waters, recently the brilliant writer of the show, This Is Us. And she took her life, she hung herself in her apartment. Brilliant, thriving career, popular, everything going on the outside. And we just talked about what it looks like for us to have to stuff our emotions to make our oppressor feel more comfortable. I really want us to talk about the reasons that Black women in particular struggle with mental disorders. We struggle with depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder. We are struggling to be mentally healthy as Black women, even though we may be thriving in our careers and in status. Dr. Mateesah, can you speak to that?
Absolutely. I think there are three major reasons. One of them is I believe that many of them are rooted in trauma, unresolved trauma. Trauma that happened as children. When you think about young girls being molested or raped and being told, don't say anything, silenced, because we don't want to put our business out there. We keep what happens in the house. And if you say that, such and such is going to be taken away from the house, or, any number of things. And you go into protection mode of others instead of protection of yourself. Not believed, blaming yourself, any sorts of things. We can talk about, how especially Black young girls develop much more quickly. So the narrative created around, which I think we still do, even as adults, you asked for it because of the way your body looks. Right? That's a whole other conversation. And it goes back to what you said, Lady Nakia, about you know, if you wear a certain outfit, every man is going to fall in the church and commit fornication, and it's your fault because your skirt was too short.
Yes.
What? That's a whole other conversation. But so I think the root in trauma that it goes unresolved. I think the second thing is there's a myth in our community among Black women that we have to be super women. That strong woman myth. So we're protecting and helping everyone else, but we are repressing and suppressing our own traumas, the PTSD, the anxiety, and all of the things that, you know, just surround us. And the third thing is there still is a stigma around mental health. I think thankfully it's changing to some degree, but our coping strategies for the most part is I'm going to pray about it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's wonderful. Y'all know I'm a prayer warrior. I know y'all are prayer warriors, but God has gifted other people to help you deal with some stuff that is the root of your fruit. See, what we do is we focus on the behavior and we don't look at the root. And so I think for a lot of Black women, we're so busy hiding the root, protecting everybody else, that it has to come out in some way. It's like when you eat the wrong thing, those toxins come out of your pores, whether you want it to or not. And I think for many of us, the depression and anxiety and all of those things is an outward cry on the inside.
Yes. And it's so sad because it feels like that outward cry sometimes comes too late, and we feel hopeless and helpless, like we have to do something now to get rid of the pain. And that's where the suicide comes in. That's where ending our lives or thinking that it's never going to get better. Minister Tasha, can you speak to that depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder that we experience as Black women?
Yeah, I definitely agree with those three things that you called out, Dr. Mateesah. And when I was thinking about this, I really think about the idea of being that strong Black woman. And when you're that, it's shameful to say, I have anxiety, I have depression, I have these things, because that takes away from the strength of who you are. And so a lot of times it does go unresolved because you keep pushing and you keep going because you're trying to live up to this expectation that in some places you have placed on yourself, because really those that you're helping, you would be better for them if you were to take care of yourself, but you can't see it because of that hazy vision of like this desire to be the strong Black woman and not take away from who that is.
That's so good about how we take care of everybody else. We're so good at it. We have it down to a science on how to take care of everybody else. But that's powerful how you said that we would be better for them if we took care of us. And that's important that we do that, ladies, that we make sure we make our mental and our emotional health a priority. Pastor Beverly, talk to that, this depression, anxiety that we suffer from.
Well, I love everything that you're saying, and you talked about, I love the trauma part, and that's what I deal with heavily. So the trauma part and even the spiritual side of things. But in dealing with this trauma that we go with, we starting with so many that grew up without a father, or so you're dealing with, let's just start there. So we have this trauma that you're going through life with, and so you're starting life kind of with just this little bit of liquid, and then you get into this superwoman syndrome and you begin to pour from this little bit, and you never got to pour from a full bottle. And so you're going through life and you're pouring from this little bit, and you're not taught to go fill back up. And so before you know it, the bottle ends up being completely empty, but you haven't been given tools. How do I fill back up? And I think that's what we have to do more of, is making people, and especially our Black women, feel comfortable filling back up, feel comfortable saying, I'm empty. I need to fill back up. And so knowing where to go, where are those resources at? And even I was thinking about myself and my mother. I never saw my mother weak. I never saw her break down. And now that I'm older, I know she needed help. I know she needed to go to some, I know now the emotional things that she went through. And so I went through something in my marriage, and I struggled at the idea of going to therapy. Because it was so taboo in my mind. I was always taught that when you go to therapy, you're crazy. That's just what I heard in the Black community.
That's right.
And when I tell you it was the best thing that I could have done for myself was to go to therapy. That I do check-ins now every year. Yeah. And so I check in. I don't go for an issue. I go to make sure I'm up on it before an issue comes. And so I make sure I go so I can stay full, so that when I'm facing challenges, I can face them at least fuller than when I went in. And so I think the stigma that going to get help, we have to break that stigma. Listening to your body and asking for help when you've reached your wits' end, and having a safe place. So many people I've seen, especially in church, your pastor isn't a counselor. And I tell people this all the time, and I'm gonna stop right here. I'm not a licensed counselor. That's right. But I can help you with some spiritual things, and I believe in tapping in and discernment. But there are some things that people come to us with that our pride says we're not equipped for that. But I have some Christian counselors who I trust that I am going to connect you with, who are saved and skilled in this area to help you with the natural things you need to cope with what you're going through. So that's what I would say. No, and I think that's powerful, because we have to make sure that we don't discount the spiritual, right? Because God is powerful and able to transform and change and fix us in a way that nobody else will. I believe that what therapy has done for me, I can speak for me personally, it has given me the tools that I need when I get in circumstances and situations that would otherwise overwhelm me and spin me out and make me feel like I'm going to have an anxiety attack. Now I have some tools that I can tap into. So I pray before I go into my counseling sessions. I pray over my therapist, I pray over myself, and I pray over the things that she tells me. But I'm also making sure that when I use these tools, God, your strength is made perfect in my weakness. And so right here is where I'm weak. This is where I normally mess it up. So I'm about to try this tool that she taught me, but I'm going to still need your help. So it's not like I'm discounting the power of God. But what happens is, when I was getting off my knees from praying and laying out and crying out to God, there was still something that I was struggling with and that was still overtaking me emotionally. So I had to get some extra help. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. I'm actually very transparent about it, because I want women to get the help that they need so you can be who it is that God has created you to be. And I don't care if people gossip about me about it. No way. Talk about me about it, down me for it, because I'm a better woman, because I decided that my mental health was just as important as my spiritual and my physical health. So ladies, I pray and that you would make sure that you reach out, get resources, find help, reach out to me personally, and we can make sure that we connect you with some additional help that you need. So that's super powerful. I want to close out by encouraging the women, because you all are very successful in your own right and in your own arena. And I was looking at some statistics, Pastor Beverly, about these Black-owned businesses from women. Like 164% of women, the Black-owned women businesses have grown by 164%. And 50% of female-owned businesses are Black women. Yes. I'm so excited and want to celebrate you as a Black woman entrepreneur. You, as our mom, Lady House said, you a bad sister, period. Period. And I honor and celebrate you for that. So can you discuss, because there's still this gap and this disparity between the average revenue of a Black-owned woman, a Black woman's own business, and that of a non-Black woman-owned business. So can you discuss the barriers and challenges that you had to overcome for some of the women that may be interested in becoming entrepreneurs? Well, one of the number one things when I talk to women about a business, you first got to figure out if it's a hobby or if it's a business. Oh, that's good. So you got to know if this is just something you like to do on the side, or if you really got the time to put into it to make it a business.
That's good.
And so then the other barrier, I think, is money and capital. And so as I celebrate and I get super excited when I read those statistics, there's also statistics that says most of those Black-owned women businesses don't have, they're usually running them themselves, and they don't have many employees, 0 to none, as compared to our counterparts. And that is due to lack of revenue. And so the other thing is that, and this lack of revenue is due to, and those many Black women who are giving revenue, we're giving much lower percentages in our loans than our counterparts. Okay. And so this is due to our lack of capital that we may come to the table with, or even some of our credit scores and so forth. But so those are, I would say, this access to capital is still a major barrier, because there's still this gap in what our counterparts are getting loaned versus us, and our and there's a little bit of a struggle. It's a little bit tougher. It is. I do love our city. There is quite a few programs here, and I've researched across some of the states. There's quite a few programs that offer grants and so forth for small business owners, and those I encourage women to go tap into, especially right now coming out of COVID. Now, really, right now coming out of COVID is I probably say it's like water in a desert. And so this is time to go on and research, and there is a lot of monies out there. Check into your chamber. You want to do things like that. But before you do any of those things, those are to people who are already in business and maybe are just looking for capital. If you're looking to start a business, I want to just start you ground level. Make sure this is really a business and not a hobby. Make sure you're going to put the time into it. So many people want to start a business because they feel like I don't have to work for nobody. That's a misnomer. When you got your own business, you working for all them customers. You work, and you're really working more. It's just a blessing because you get to work for yourself. And so this idea, you're really working more hours. But the good thing is, I get to work hours in my pajamas. I get to work them at home. I get to rearrange my schedule around my kids and so forth. But that's probably my biggest thing to those who are getting ready to start. Here's my other last thing I just want to say. I was in a conversation with somebody the other day, and they made a statement, and I don't know why it bothered me. It says, I don't like to shop with Black businesses. My next point is supporting. I don't like to shop with Black businesses because the quality. Well, when you want to have that expectation for every business that you shop with, why is this the statement that's always made for the Black business? And then we put them on blast on social media instead of inboxing them to support them, or maybe giving some suggestions, kind feedback on how they can help to improve themselves. So my last thing will really be is, as far as obstacle, is support. It is real support, and from our own community, so that we can begin to circulate our dollars in our own community. And when there's a mistake, giving that business owner a good chance to fix it through positive feedback. So those would be mine.
That's good. Ladies, why don't you drop your Black business in the comments? Let's buy Black women tonight. Why don't you drop your business in the comments? That's great advice to make sure that we're supporting Black women who own their own businesses. And I love it. I'm a supporter of Pastor Beverly. I buy Confident Wear. I buy it for myself. I buy it for Brooklyn. I love it. So you should make sure that you check that out. What's the website, Pastor Beverly?
It's confidentwear.com.
Confidentwear.com. Check that out. Put it in the comments. Minister Tasha, can you talk to women who are interested or looking to grow and develop their career and advance in corporate America and move up the corporate ladder? What does that look like for them?
Yes. One of the things that I always keep in mind is, in my space, the corporate space that I work in, I report to the Lord. Everything, the Bible says, everything you do in word and deed, do all as unto the Lord. And that's really what grounds me in my space. I also recognize that promotion comes from the Lord. And so I'm never trying to fight for the promotion. I know that if I'm working for the Lord, I'm going to work in excellence. I don't look at my boss as who I report to. I look at the Lord as who has a report to. So I'm going to be on time. I'm going to give my best work every single time because I feel like I'm serving him in the work that I'm doing. And as I do that, then doors begin to open. And I mean, I've read the books From Good to Great and a book I'm reading right now, Fierce Conversations. But honestly, when it comes down to brass tacks of how I feel like my success has come, it's really been through prayer. Yeah. It's through the word of God and really leaning on the principles that are in the Bible. And there's an answer literally for everything. And I've learned as I've grown in my career, the more I put my trust and confidence in God, the higher I go. And so when I don't move up when I think I'm supposed to, I know that his timing is right and it's perfect. So I'm not going to get discouraged. I'm going to keep on pressing forward. But I also keep my eyes and my ears open. I never say that I'm just here, I'll be here forever, because there may be other opportunities and you weren't moved into that one because God is preparing you for something that's greater. And so there is a true reliance for me just on the Lord when it really comes down to it, and not trying to be spooky or weird about it, but that's really what I attributed my success to. I attribute everything that I've been able to accomplish in the corporate space to the favor and the honor that God has given me and opened up these doors for me. So I can't dismiss prayer. I have to pray every morning. I have to get in my word every day before I face those people that I'm going to be interacting with and dealing with at work, because there's no way I could do this without the help of the Lord.
That's so good. And you are such a shining example of God opening a door that no man can close. He has opened so many doors for you, navigated you through, moved you past people, promoted you in ways that you could never have even imagined or asked him to. And so we honor and celebrate everything that God is doing in your life. And we're so grateful to be able to see him just advance and promote you. So thank you so much, Minister Tasha. Dr. Mateesah, women who may be interested in getting into education, becoming a professor, earning their doctorate, what does that look like?
It's hard.
Yes. Be real.
If you just want me to be transparent, no. You have to know that that's what you want to do, right? There are a lot of people, and I'm sure this is true of many other fields, but I do know it's true if you want to get a doctorate at that level or finish your education to that level, you have to know that that's what you want to do, because the two biggest things that you encounter, right? The content is challenging. I had to take 8 statistics courses. I hate statistics. The part was difficult, but you can get through it. The two things you really face, though, are discouragement and distractions. Right? I was in a really traditional, rigorous PhD program where the average student finished in 8 years. I finished in 8 years, and I was the first person in my cohort, and that was the normal time. I didn't work at the time. Got married along the way. Still didn't work. My husband supported me. He is amazing in that regard. But I say that because I actually, for much of the time in graduate school, I didn't like it because I wanted to go on with my life. I was a newlywed. There was a lot that I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted to teach college. Right? When I was a freshman in college, I made the decision that I was going to be in the classroom and students would see people who I never got to see. That is a person of color. That was my God-given vocation. And so to Minister Tasha's point, because I knew God put me on this path, as difficult as it was, as challenging as it was, as discouraging as it could be, I went back to my source, and God dusted me off and he put me back in the game. But I want to just say that, if you want to get a PhD, it is possible. It is not beyond you. I was the first person in my, I was a first generation student, first person to get a higher education degree. A lot of firsts happened in my life because I was determined and I knew God had put me on this path. There's a lot of politics in getting your PhD. You don't realize that, but the hoops you have to jump through, and your dissertation committee have to be able to get along. And there's a lot of stuff that they don't tell you about graduate school that you learn along the way. But if you know that this is for you, You absolutely can do it. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Don't let a bad grade make you think that it's over for you. Don't make, any sacrifices that you have to make. Don't let those things stop you. You can earn the PhD if that's the thing that you want. And I'll just say, for anybody who's watching, if that's your goal, inbox me. I will do whatever I can to help you. As Pastor Beverly said earlier, that mentorship, I love to be able to do that. If I can help you in any aspect of your program, I'm here to do that.
I love that. So make sure that you inbox Dr. Mateesah Wilbon on Instagram. She's at Mateesah Wilbon. It's right there on the screen. And she's Mateesah Wilbon on Facebook as well. So I have thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. I'm so inspired and encouraged. Iron sharpens iron, and you ladies have just been such an inspiration tonight. I'm super grateful that we were able to have this discussion. And here's what I love, is that Mary J. Blige said it best. You can't hold a good woman down, period. It doesn't matter about your double standards, about the triple oppression, or any of those things that you try to exert your authority. The bottom line is that we serve a great God, and greater is he that is in us than he that is in the world. So I pray that tonight women have been inspired and encouraged by these powerful stories that you all have shared, these testimonies that you have shared. I'm so encouraged by the fact that women are shattering glass ceilings, kicking down doors, making their own tables. And like you said, Dr. Mateesah, sitting at the head of the table with a gavel. Get me in the forefront. So I love that. And I'm so grateful and thankful for each of you ladies. And I just want everybody in the comments to just please celebrate with me, Pastor Beverly Austin, Minister Tasha Tolbert, and Dr. Mateesah Wilbon. Some game-changing ladies. Thank y'all so much. Please hang out with me for a couple of more minutes as we give some announcements. Thank you all so much, Rock Church, for being with us this evening. Thank you to our pastor for initiating this much needed topic in his sermon and then allowing us to have this platform. We love you, Pastor Chris, and I'm grateful and appreciate you and want you to know how much we celebrate and honor you tonight. And so, Rock Church, it's offering time. Can we celebrate this opportunity to give? All in the comments. I love the opportunity to give. There is no better way for us to show God our gratitude for how he has blessed us in the middle of a pandemic, how he has kept us and made sure that we are still safe and healthy, that our family is still eating. I say that we have not missed any meals. My husband was laid off during this pandemic, but God has been a provider for us, and we are so grateful for him. So you can text your offering tonight. I'm giving my offering. I'm texting TRCBA to 77977. You can also visit us on the rockchurchbayarea.org. I see you, Minister Tasha, giving your offering. Thank you so much. And you can click on the give button there and make sure that you give your offering this evening. Thank y'all so much. I'm going to bless these women tonight for the way that they have blessed us so generously and given us so much spiritual and practical advice. By way of announcement, this coming Sunday, drum roll, while the church has left the building, church is still happening, ministry is still going forth, and this coming Sunday, we are going to be taking virtual communion, Rock Church. We're taking virtual communion. So go into the grocery stores. You can go to, I believe Safeway has it, and you can find unleavened bread or unleavened crackers and grape juice. And we are going to partake in the Lord's Supper this coming Sunday. And we are so looking forward to it. So make sure that you avail yourselves to that announcement. And I'm looking forward to seeing y'all in the Cyber Sanctuary this coming Sunday. I'm going to ask Dr. Mateesah, we have women from all walks of life, from all backgrounds, entrepreneurs, professors, professionals, those who are looking to be entrepreneurs, professionals, professors. Can you pray us out this evening and just pray a word and a blessing over each and every one of us as we dismiss?
Absolutely. Thank you, Lord Jesus, for this time tonight. God, you're wonderful. You're awesome. There's nobody like you. There's nobody beside you. We thank you, God, that even in this conversation, we feel your presence because you supersede, God, any of man's systems. We thank you, oh God, that you're higher, you're greater, you're mightier, you're everything to us. Thank you, God, for each woman who is watching or who will even watch the replay, God. Thank you that you put us in the marketplace, God, as ministers, as ambassadors, as the remnant, oh God, representing you. I pray, God, right now for open doors, for access, God, in the name of Jesus. There's no ceiling, God, that you can't shatter on our behalf. God, thank you for every single open door. Thank you for favor, God. Thank you for blessings. Thank you for promotions, oh God, that we're not even qualified for. Thank you, oh God, that even when we don't have the education, you've given us the oil, God, to walk into spaces with the authority of heaven. In the name of Jesus, we go in your name. We ask you to use us in every avenue. Use us, oh God, in every space. Use us in the classroom, in the boardroom, in the courtroom, in the name of Jesus, in our family rooms, God. Let us stand up, open up our mouths, God, and be mouthpieces for you, God, in the name of Jesus. Raise up your women that we can be in every sector, God, being godly examples, God, for people in the name of Jesus. We thank you, God, for this time together. We thank you for the power that you've empowered us with. Thank you, oh God, for the encouragement that you've given us. Thank you, God, for the finality of the word that's spoken over our lives. And God, we say it is so and it shall not be otherwise. Bless us and we will be blessed. Keep us and we will be kept, God. And in all of it, we'll give your name all of the honor, all of the glory, and all of the praise. In Jesus' name we pray. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, ladies, for joining us. You have a good night. Go and be great in Jesus' name. God bless you.